If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. With Indeed, everything hiring is all in one place, and it makes it so easy. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences each day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. The more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join the more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Indeed.com/podcast. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Hello, everyone, in podcast listening land. I'm Karen Devaney.
And I'm Ann Varner.
And we're sisters.
Welcome to Sugar-Coated Murder, where we'll discuss
And probably inappropriately laugh about and comment on.
Yep, one of our favorite subjects.
Murder. Oh, and we love to bake. And why not combine our two favorite subjects?
Baking.
And killers.
Karen Devaney, welcome to my home.
And Varner, I found my way up here. You couldn't fool me. You didn't move, so I found you.
I didn't. I hope the commute wasn't too bad.
It was not, and I actually needed help with the commute, so my husband...
Get a partner?
Yeah, my husband, actually, he's like my roadie.
Oh.
He comes and brings my stuff.
I noticed that we had a roadie tonight.
We had a roadie tonight, yeah. He did, and it was good because he and Trout had a little moment
together.
together.
Trout, when he sees Mr. Michaels, he just wags that whole tail back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Loves him so much.
He does. He really does. So,
what's going on? Are you doing anything?
Actually, I want to tell you something.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a couple things.
All right.
The first one is I looked on my This Day in True Crime History calendar, and nothing really exciting was happening for today. It was like some dude was born that we don't know.
Oh.
But so I'm going to pretend like it's tomorrow.
Okay.
So happy February 25th. In 1963, Joseph Duncan III, an American serial killer and blogger, was born.
Wow.
And we don't know who he is. I don't know who he is.
Might have to look into it.
Might have to, but that is... So, okay, so that's my true crime history situation.
So you jumped forward a day to talk about somebody we don't know.
Yeah, but the other one was really dumb.
Okay.
Like, that one was really dumb. Like, a crime boss was born, and I couldn't even pronounce his name, so that's why I really skipped it.
And now we know the real reason.
Whatever.
It wasn't dumb.
It was, okay, I couldn't pronounce his name. So I was like, oh, let's look at the next day. And that one was, like, easy. Duncan the Third got that.
Got it.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to tell you is I've been doing face yoga.
Face yoga.
Yes, I have.
Wow.
For about 2 weeks now, I have been doing face yoga, and I really am enjoying it.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I know. It's supposed to help define my jawline, empty out my lymphatic system, help clear the dark circles under my eyes. Like, it's supposed to help with my number 11, like where you can, plant corn in that crater between my eyebrows.
And if somebody wanted to join you in face yoga, where would they go? How would we find this?
You could probably look it up. You could Google.
Who do you use?
I have a couple different people on the TikTok that I use.
It's a TikTok situation.
It's a TikTok thing. So there is an anesthetician that I use. Her name is Amy, I think. And then there's another, there's a lady, she's really cute too. She's the one that taught me how to use my beauty stone. I have a beauty stone, and there's a name for it that I can't pronounce. So I'm just going to say beauty stone.
Okay.
But I bought a beauty stone, and I also use that. And so I do some of Amy's exercises, some of this other lady's exercises, and I don't remember her name. And then there's a young girl who talks about some face yoga. And then there's this really cute Oriental lady who has the most perfect skin I've ever seen. And she talks about like some problem areas and things that you can do, but she does a lot of acupressure on your face.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's about releasing the muscles, because we get wrinkles because the muscles get tense.
So we'll work on getting the people's actual names.
So people can follow
some
them
defining
on
features about them.
Yeah.
And then we'll let our followers know in case they want to do.
Yeah, well, if our followers get on TikTok and follow me, they can actually, then I will send them, I'll be able to actually send them the links on the TikTok links.
Okay. Well, just in case they don't want to follow us on TikTok, we'll get the info for you.
Yeah. So I'm loving my face yoga.
Yeah. I'm getting so much information out of the TikTok.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Opened up a whole new world for me.
A whole new world. Like, my big thing today was a stain remover. I've been working on these stains on my son's sweatshirt, which God only knows where they came from.
Oh, God.
It looks like maybe a wing sauce or a hot sauce.
It could have been anything.
Not just one spot. It is everywhere.
Yeah. Like he painted the whole shirt with a wing.
Right. And I worked and worked and worked. I've been working on it and nothing seemed to work. And then I found this hack on TikTok where they tell you to use 1 cup of hydrogen peroxide and half a cup of Blue Dawn liquid dish soap.
Yeah.
You mix those together in a spray bottle. You spray it on your stain. I let mine sit for 30 minutes to an hour just because I had other things to do. She didn't tell me. I mean, to be honest, I don't 100% know how to use TikTok. The videos seem very short. I feel like I'm missing information.
There's probably a part 1 or a part 2. There's probably a part 2 and a part 3.
But whatever, it worked.
That's awesome.
The stains faded significantly.
That's wonderful.
So
I love the life hacks, the laundry hacks, the cleaning hacks, and the life hacks.
Let me finish this real quick. So when you're making your concoction, just to make it a little bit easier, when you've got your empty spray bottle, measure out water. Do first a cup and then draw on with a marker on the side of the bottle, and then go and pour a half a cup of water
more, and
then mark there.
So a half cup more.
So, right.
Okay.
So you'll do your peroxide to the first line and then your Dawn to the second line. That way you don't have to try.
Oh, that's a lot of Dawn. Yeah.
You don't want to measure out Dawn because it's all going to stick in it's wasteful. So,
it is wasteful and it's a lot.
Yeah. So I found that to be really, really helpful.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. There's laundry hacks. There's a guy that I follow that talks about different car hacks, like for cleaning your car or getting the scratches out of your car. I mean, he does a lot of stuff, really cool stuff. So TikTok has opened up a whole new world. And you told me
yesterday about a hack that you had seen where to freshen up your bathroom, you put essential oils inside the toilet paper roll.
Yes.
Well, I don't have any essential oils.
Oh.
But I do have Scentsy products, and the Scentsy room spray has essential oils in it.
Okay.
So I just sprayed that on the inside of my toilet paper roll. Working out great.
Isn't it wonderful? You get that toilet paper, you just get this waft of just a breath of aromatherapy while you're on the John.
Exactly.
It's just wonderful.
All right, guys.
I know that you think this is probably all we have to talk about with this podcast because there's so much information.
Oh, yeah.
But we actually have other things to talk about.
Oh, you're cooking. It's your turn to cook. I did the spaghetti squash.
Yes. Oh, God, that was so yummy. So tonight, I'm making a key lime pie.
Nice.
And it's because we're going to see my high school friends, Greg and Sandra. You and me are going to go tomorrow to see them. And his favorite pie, favorite cake, I think if he could get key lime wheels for his car, he'd get them.
Oh, my.
So he loves key lime. So we're taking him a key lime pie.
Okay.
So I've used Mama's recipe. I've used kind of my own recipe for the graham cracker crust, something that I do that not a lot of people do, but when I make graham cracker crust homemade, I use about 10 rectangles or 20 squares of graham crackers. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay. And then I buy these, they're little snack cups that you get for kids of little miniature Nilla wafers. Mm-hmm. And I buy that, and I put a snack cup of that in there, and I crush the vanilla wafers
Oh,
up.
that's nice. A nice combination.
Yeah. So, and when it bakes,
Yumminess.
my husband thought I was baking a cake because he was like, "Oh my God, that
And you
smells
add
so
butter
good."
with that?
Yeah. So you add. So it calls for, like, a typical graham cracker crust would call for the graham crackers, which would be the 8 to 10 rectangles, and a quarter cup of butter.
Right.
But because I add this in there, I do a quarter cup plus 2 tablespoons of butter.
Oh, right. And I've seen recipes too that call for sugar. Don't add sugar to your graham cracker crust. You don't need it.
You don't need it. These vanilla wafers give it a little boost, which is good. And then I'll just tell you real quick about the key lime pie. It's so easy. So you take 4 egg yolks. You separate your eggs. You get your yolks. You put them in a bowl, and with a mixer, you mix them on as high as you can until they get fluffy and they turn a lemon yellow. So it takes a little while to get there, but you just keep going. Don't give up.
Right.
And then once they're the right color and consistency, you stop that mixer, and then you add in a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk.
Right.
Sorry, I almost said evaporated milk, and that was wrong.
No.
Sweetened condensed milk. So you add that in, you turn your blender on low, mix that till it's just mixed. You turn your blender off. Not your blender, it's a mixer. I'm having a hard time with my words today. So, and then you add, so it takes a third of a cup of key lime juice.
Yeah.
We use the Nelly and Joe's because it's not summer and key limes are not in season right now. If they were, we would be squeezing them by hand. But we use the Nelly and Joe's, and so it calls for a third of a cup of that. And so when you stop your mixer, you put in half of that third of a cup. And then you turn your mixer on, you blend it again, you turn it off, and then you put in a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar and the rest of your lime juice, and you turn that your beaters on and mix it till it's just blended again. And then you pour that into your already prepared pie crust that has been baked. So when you do your pie crust, you bake it at 350 for about 8 minutes. Right. And then it needs to cool completely. Right. So I cooled it, and then I stuck it in the fridge a little bit. It doesn't have to be like stone cold, but I wanted it to be cool. Right. Because you don't want to pour your eggs on top of that hot graham cracker crust because they could scramble. Correct. So then you put it in there. You pop it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. That's where we are right now. I went ahead and did that because the beaters were a little bit noisy. So we just said, let's just get the pie in the oven. And so when that comes out, so you're looking for it to be dry and firm in the middle. Okay. So that's what we're looking for. All right. And then And this, by the way, is not a recipe you can find online. Mom spent many a moon getting this recipe just right. Yes, and she does a meringue on hers, which we adore. We love meringues. But Mr. Greg, he's a little finicky and does not like meringue. So I am going to take it and do a homemade whipped cream. Perfect. Which is so easy. That's just like heavy whipping cream. I'm so glad that I'm on this trip and I get to taste all of these things. Yeah, so anyway. My question, though, is did you happen to make a tasting pie? Yes, I did. Oh, good job. I made a little ramekin with just a little bit. Perfect. So that we could taste it. Yeah, because we don't want to serve bad pie. I would never. Oh, my gosh. I would never. No. So anyway, hopefully Mr. Vicks pie is going to come out primo, and hopefully Mr. and Mrs. Vick are going to enjoy the pie together. Yeah. It's not her favorite pie, but she does enjoy it. And they did just recently get back from Key West. Oh, well. So he's kind of on a key lime high right now. Right. Very good. Very good. So anyway, there you go. And you're welcome, Greg and Sandra, for allowing us to share your personal information on our podcast. I didn't say where we were going. Exactly. So the timer's going off, but you go ahead and start because I have a feeling you have things to say. I do. I have a murder, and I'm going to tell you this case is the scariest story that I've ever read in my life. Don't freak me out. Ever read in my life. Don't freak me out. Hold on to your horses. There's a lot of information. There are a lot of twists and turns, but you're just going to be as scared as I am about this case. Okay. Well, all right. I just took the pie out, and I got to tell you, it's gorgeous. Oh, nice. It smells delightful. Okay. David Camm. David Camm was a former Indiana State Trooper.
He had spent over 10 years on the force, and he was ready for a change. So he left the force and started working for his uncle, who had a company that does, he still exists, foundation repair.
Okay.
And they also go in and seal basements for people that need basements sealed. David was married to Kim. They got married in 1989. 4 years later, they had a little boy named Brad.
Aww.
2 years after that, they had a little girl named Jill.
Brad and Jill.
The Camms lived in Georgetown, Indiana. Little small town.
Yeah.
Family lived across the street. Just everybody knows everybody, small town. September the 28th, 2000. Mm-hmm. David goes off to play in a weekly basketball game with his friends at around 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. When David returned home at around 9:30, I think it was like 9:34, the game ends at 9:30, he's about 4 miles away. He pulls up in the driveway and he notices what looks like blood on the floor of his garage. Oh. And what looks like a body on the floor. So he hops out of his truck, he runs into the garage, falls to his knees, and sees that the body and blood belong to his wife, Kim.
Get out of here.
He checks for a pulse, nothing. She had been shot in the head, and her pants had been pulled down.
That's naughty.
He looks over at the family vehicle, which was a Ford Bronco, which was parked in the garage, and he can see his daughter, Jill, who was 5, slumped over.
No.
He runs to her. Jill is also dead.
Oh, my God.
She has been shot in the head.
Oh, my God.
Then he sees his son, Brad, who's 7. Brad's body is draped over the back seat, it looks like he's trying to get away from somebody or get into the back of the car.
Oh, my gosh.
David touches Brad, and he's still warm.
Oh.
So he pulls Brad out of the vehicle, and he starts CPR. But CPR is not working.
Oh, my God.
Just not working.
How horrible
Brad
to have to do CPR on your own
shot
kid.
through the torso, and the bullet had actually severed his spinal cord.
Oh, no.
So CPR isn't going to work no matter how hard he tries. David runs into the house, and he calls 911.
Ugh.
He tells the operator that somebody has killed his wife and kids. He then hangs up and calls the state trooper's office and tells the dispatcher at the state trooper's office, send everybody you have over here. Everybody. Somebody has killed my wife and kids.
Oh, my gosh.
Send everybody. And they do. They all come. And as a matter of fact,
how does he know that number? I don't have that number.
He's a former Indiana state trooper.
I missed that part. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. He had recently retired, like 4 months prior.
Okay. I was focused on the basement sealing business.
He had been on the Indiana state trooper force for a decade, and then he felt like he needed to change careers, and he went to work for his uncle. So they knew, everybody knew him.
Yeah.
So the police get to the scene, and they find David in hysterics. Now, because of his connection, as a courtesy to him, somebody actually called his uncle who lived across the street.
Oh, wow.
And the uncle comes over to see what's going on.
My.
Police start to look at the scene. They see Brad on the garage floor. He's laying on top of a sweatshirt. They see Kim half naked on the garage floor. They see Jill in the vehicle. Oh, they see Kim's shoes neatly sitting on top of the vehicle. They notice that Kim's feet are all beat up, which leads them to believe that perhaps Kim had been sexually assaulted. Police secure the crime scene and collect some evidence. They call in a crime scene expert from Oregon, but it's going to take that person 2 days to get in. So they work on sealing the scene and release David. A bloodstain expert comes to the scene. From Kim's gunshot wound, there is a pool of blood that has formed on the garage floor. Now, obviously, the garage wasn't completely level.
No.
So it traveled.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the trail of blood, which there was a lot, it becomes almost clear like watered down blood.
Oh. Ew.
So
That's gross.
the blood stain expert determines that somebody must have been trying to clean up the scene, probably with bleach. And that's what he's seeing.
Okay.
The crime scene reveals no attempt to get into the house. Everything appears to have happened in the garage. There wasn't a burglary. There wasn't anything missing. Right. There's no murder weapon. At the crime scene, the police take into evidence, and I know I'm moving kind of slow, but this information is extremely important to the rest of this case.
Okay.
Extremely important.
Are here for
Police took
it.
into evidence the sweatshirt that had been under Brad, the shirt that David had been wearing, and they gather fingerprints, handprints, blood, and DNA. An autopsy on Kim found no evidence of a sexual assault, thank God.
Okay.
They did swabs all over her body. They took blood, and there goes Trout. He's finished his lick bowl. It was really quick.
He goes so fast on that thing,
He
I
does.
can't get over it.
He really does.
He's a speed demon.
So the sweatshirt that Brad's body had been laying on turns out to be a prison-issued sweatshirt.
That's weird.
Yeah. DNA from 2 unknown people was found on the sweatshirt. David's t-shirt has blood spatter on it.
Mm-hmm.
This blood stain spatter expert looks at the blood spatter and he says, by the way, there are 8 drops of blood on the shirt. 8 drops of blood. He says that the spatter is the result of high velocity impact spatter that would come from shooting someone.
No way. Not 8 drops of blood. Come on. I don't believe that. There has to be more blood somewhere.
Hang on. I gotta get this dog.
Oh, Trout.
Yeah. One day I'm gonna get a carrier and just put
I'm
him
telling you,
get
it
him in
needs a
the
baby
papoose.
Bjorn or whatever those things are.
All right, so the police pulled phone records, and according to those records, David used his cell phone from inside the house at 7:19. He told police that he was playing basketball from 7 to 9:30.
Wait, what time did he call them?
7:19. 3 days after the
Wait,
murder.
I'm confused. No, I'm not. Keep going. I got it.
Okay. 7:19 is when they say the phone call was made from inside the house from David's cell phone.
From David's cell phone to where?
I don't know who. It didn't tell me. Who
Okay,
he called.
so he was there at 7:19
and
and
pinged. He was at home at 7:19.
Okay.
And he told them he was playing basketball at 7.
Oh dear.
Right.
Ruh-roh, David.
Right. So 3 days after the murder of David's family, they call David down to the police station. They tell him about the blood spatter analysis. He is adamant. I mean, he is telling them, you are wrong.
I know, Sugar, but one thing I've learned doing this podcast
wrong.
is murderers, they tend to lie.
Right.
And they lie to the point that you believe them and they believe themselves.
Yeah. Police at this point believe that David left the basketball game, went home 4 miles away, murdered his family, his wife and his 2 young children, went back to the basketball game and finished the game.
Well, I mean, you got to finish a game.
And then returned
Don't
home.
just leave that.
And police believe because he was on the force, rumors had spread. There was some information out there. They believe his motive for killing his family is because he had been having affairs and he wanted to be free from his family commitments.
Well, we've seen that before.
So they arrest him and charge him with murder.
Wow.
And lock him up. In the spring of 2002, the case goes to trial. This blood spatter is the main piece of forensic evidence.
Blood spatter on his shirt.
Yes.
The 8 droplets
The
of
8
blood.
drops. Yes.
The 8 drops from shooting 3 people.
Exactly. Are you scared yet?
That's really
I'll
crazy.
keep going. The defense experts called say that the blood on David's shirt was caused by transfer. The expert on the defense side goes on to state that if the blood spatter was from a gunshot, there would have been hundreds of droplets of blood.
I agree with that guy.
Not just 8. All 11 of the men who played basketball with David the night of the murder testified that David was with them from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and that he never left the game.
What the hell is that 719 phone call then? Maybe he left a cell phone behind.
Around 12 women are brought in by the prosecutor to testify that they either had an affair with David or propositioned by David. And proposition means he flirted with them.
Okay.
And basically they come in and just rip his character apart.
Now, so there's 2 parts of me going on right now that are fighting in my brain.
Okay.
Because one of me says, just because you are a person who has steps outside of your marriage does not make you a murderer.
Right.
But there's the other part of me that knows about Chris Watts, the asshole in Colorado that killed his wife and 2 daughters because he was having an affair and wanted a new life and didn't want to get a divorce. Right. And so there's 2 sides of my brain that are arguing.
Nobody claims to be currently having an affair.
That's fine. Okay.
I will say that.
There's no a current affair.
There doesn't seem to be a current affair.
I used to love that show.
Prosecutors say that the DNA evidence on the sweatshirt had been put through the CODIS system.
Okay.
But returned no hits. The case goes to the jury.
Where the hell did that sweatshirt come from?
And they find David guilty of murdering his family. Okay. He is sentenced to 195 years in prison. In August of 2004, the Indiana Court of Appeals overturns the conviction. The court felt it was unfair of the judge in the first trial to allow 12 women
it is excessive.
To essentially assassinate David's character.
I agree it's excessive, and especially
that first before they were presented with any other forensic evidence.
Right. So, but yeah, that's excessive, and if they don't have somebody that's got a recent affair going,
so there was
then
no
I'm just
affair to tie into the murder because there wasn't anything recent. So, and that was in August of 2004. It gets overturned. The paperwork has to be processed. You know, you get overturned, and then they say, okay, we're going to do a new trial.
They have to set the new trial, and then the judge has there's a judge that determines if he will set bail.
Right.
Or if he will deny bail.
David doesn't get out of jail. In November of 2004, the prosecutor refiles the charges against David.
Wow.
This time his defense team gets to work, and they really, really, really want to know about that unknown DNA from the sweatshirt.
Like where this prison issue sweatshirt, it's not like you can just pick that up anywhere.
Right. And, it had been a couple of years, so they said, hey, can you run it through CODIS
again? That's true. Yeah.
And let's see if there's a hit, maybe somebody since then. And the prosecutor said no.
No, he said no, we're not going to rerun it?
Do that.
How come he gets to make that decision?
So they get a court order. And the court order forces them to rerun that DNA profile through CODIS. Well, guess what?
There's a hit. Please say there's a hit.
They get a damn match.
Son of a...
Not only do they get a match, but they discover that the DNA had never been run through the system before.
Well, that whole entire prosecutor team should be fired, disbarred, and sued.
You would think.
That's not okay. That's a man's life in the balance. Oh my God.
His family.
Oh my God.
Based on.
And they never ran the DNA through CODIS when they said they did?
Correct.
That's bullshit.
Right.
Oh my God.
Are you scared now?
That is so scary. And shame on that prosecutor. Shame on all of them. How corrupt.
So the DNA belongs to convicted felon Charles Bonnet. Charles had been out on parole at the time of the murder. He had been convicted of armed attacks on women. Most of the attacks involved him taking the women's shoes.
Oh,
he had
the shoes on top of the car.
And he had a foot fetish.
Oh, God.
Remember, Kim's shoes were found on top of the car.
But didn't you say her feet were all beaten?
The defense brings in, no, not the defense. The police bring Charles in for questioning. He says, hey, I know that's my sweatshirt because it's got my nickname Backbone written in it, but I donated that to the Goodwill. I donated it. So I don't know, who had it to go do this. He also said that he didn't know the Camm family, and he said, I didn't kill him. It wasn't me. He takes a polygraph, and he fails it.
Oh.
But they release him anyway. 2 weeks later, the defense discovers that there was a palm print on Kim's vehicle that was never tested.
What is wrong with people? This is not okay. I have such a problem with this.
They test the print, and it belonged to Charles.
Charles Bonnet.
March 4th of 2005, Charles is arrested. Now remember, David's still in jail.
He's still there.
He's still in jail because we're still going to trial, right?
Oh, my God.
March 2005, Charles is arrested for the murders. The charges against David are dropped, but within the hour, new charges for murder and conspiracy are filed against him.
What?
And David is rearrested.
What the hell is happening?
Yes. Prosecutors now say that David and Charles had been working together to murder David's family.
Are you kidding me?
When Charles gets wind of this, he goes back to the police and he says, hey, listen, I met David at a basketball game. Now, this whole trial has been made public.
Of course.
Everything, it's been in the news, it's in the media.
Yes.
So Charles knows.
He knows what's up.
There. He says, I met David at a basketball game, and he asked if I could help him get a gun. And I said, yeah, I can help you do that. So he said, I went and met him at the Camm house, and I handed him that gun in that sweatshirt of mine, that old sweatshirt.
He originally said that he didn't know that family at all.
Mm-hmm. He said he stayed outside while David went into the garage. He said he heard 3 gunshots, and he also went as far to tell them he heard the little girl Jill yell, Daddy. He said he went into the garage and looked in the car, and that's where he put
his palm print.
He said he left the sweatshirt, got in his car, and left, saying that David had turned the gun on him. He's explaining away his connection to the crime scene.
Oh, my God.
January 17th, 2006, they go to trial again. David's defense team fights like hell.
Of course.
To have his trial moved 100 miles away to Lebanon, Indiana, because there's been so much media attention.
You can't pull a fair jury.
Exactly. And they had to fight like hell because the prosecutor wanted to try Charles and David together.
Oh, my God.
And his defense team said, no way. No way.
Wow.
And they won. They actually
won good for him.
To get moved and not tried together.
Mm-hmm.
There was no phone call, no witnesses, nothing that linked Charles and David together.
Yeah, just the word of a convicted felon who has a foot fetish and has beaten up women before.
Exactly.
And taken their shoes.
And it's because of this, there's no connection. David is acquitted of the conspiracy charge.
Okay.
At the same time he's acquitted of that charge, Charles is convicted of the murders. And he is sentenced to 225 years behind bars.
Oh, I like that sentence.
That's great news, right?
I don't know.
Really good
Something
news.
tells me there's like a big ass bomb about to drop on my head.
Yeah. So now we got to do the murder trial for David.
Yeah.
His defense team, they talk about the blood spatter on his shirt.
The 8 drops.
Right. They point out that there was blood spatter. There was no blood spatter on his shorts. So what's up with that? They have an expert testify.
On his shoes. Like, that would be all over you.
Exactly. They have an expert that testifies that there was a blood transfer on the shirt and not velocity blood. The expert says there was no bleach used to try and clean up the crime scene, but what had happened is when the blood is exposed to air and sits for a long time, it separates and a different liquid comes out.
Ugh.
So it was separated blood that was breaking down, which is a normal process for blood.
Not bleach.
It was not
and they
bleach.
didn't smell bleach.
No.
You would have smelled it.
No. The expert said that the separated blood is actually evidence that the murder occurred later than what was reported. The 11 friends of David's come back and testify again that David had been with them the entire time. The phone records that originally showed that David had made the phone call at 7:19, the company came back and said, we made a mistake. We didn't take into account the time zone.
Oh.
That call was really made at 6:19.
Holy crap, look at all these errors that almost cost this man his entire life.
They talk about Charles and his DNA. They ripped the prosecutor's case apart.
Good. Well, that's the dream team right there, whoever
So
he had.
the affair testimony was inadmissible because it had been thrown out with the other one. But this time the prosecutor says the reason David killed his family was because he was molesting Jill, the little girl. That's what they said.
That's horrible to just throw that out
That's
there.
what they said, yeah. Evidently, they say that there was blunt force trauma on her genitals.
What?
Yeah.
But they're saying that now, but it wasn't in the first trial?
Right.
These are horrible people. These are horrible people.
Right. So the the defense medical examiner says her hymen was intact. She had not been molested. There's
no evidence
sign,
whatsoever.
Right, that from the way that her body, she could have been hit very hard, or it could just be from close range gunshot that jolted her body, could have caused any kind of injury to her whole entire body.
Yeah.
Okay, so case goes to the jury. 4 days with the jury.
Oh my God.
David is once again found guilty
of
murder.
Oh my God. I don't think he did it now.
He is sentenced to life without parole. Are you scared?
This is,
scared?
whoever lives in Indiana, God bless you all, and I love you, but I will not be moving to your state. I don't think that I will visit. Because that's why I'm
scariest.
Telling you,
this is the scariest thing. This is a man who came home from a basketball game at his church.
And his whole family is killed.
And his family is murdered.
Yeah, and he then goes to jail not once but twice, and every time they convict him, it's more time.
I just don't.
And they have just assassinated this man's character.
So many things. It gets worse.
And it's not fair for the prosecution to lie. Like when you're in a court,
right?
You can't lie. No. I just think it should be against the law to lie in court. It's against the law for us to lie.
Exactly.
Why is it okay for the prosecution or even the defense to lie?
Right.
Don't lie. It shouldn't be a lying thing.
No.
That should be against the law.
I know. So, in 2009, the Indiana Supreme Court now gets involved, and they overturned David's conviction.
God love this man.
They state that there was no evidence of molestation, and they read the medical examiner's testimony saying that Jill's hymen was intact. Therefore, she had not been molested. But just like before, David has to go back to trial.
Oh my God,
and this is it. Once you hit the Supreme Court,
it's over.
This is it.
It's over.
You got to win this or you're done.
Yeah.
I don't know how David's feeling at this point. It's 2009.
I don't know how he has not hung himself in his cell. I don't know.
I don't know.
This poor man hasn't even been able to grieve his family properly.
Yeah. So this time the prosecutor says, okay, the reason he did it.
Oh my God.
Is because.
You can't keep guessing.
Because Kim had life insurance. He was after life insurance money.
It's not fair to keep guessing at why he did things.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you can't just guess.
I think the same thing.
I think the prosecution has to stick to the motive, murder weapon, the how, why, and when. It shouldn't change.
No. But every time your conviction is overturned and you get a new trial, it's clean the slate and start over.
So is it a new prosecution team every time, or is it the same team?
I don't know. I really don't know. I know it was the same defense team all the way through.
Okay.
I'm not exactly certain.
I don't know. I have no clue. If we have any kind of an attorney out there that knows these things, could you email us, please, and let us know when these things go to a different court? Is it the same prosecution?
I think it was the same prosecutor. I don't believe it.
I just would like to know.
But it's going to get really interesting here in a minute.
It's been interesting.
So this time, Charles testifies against David.
Wait, what? They bring in a felon?
They bring in the felon, convicted of the murder.
Yeah.
Right? Not conspiracy. Nobody's been convicted of just the murder. He's been convicted of the murder.
How was he even allowed to testify?
The prosecution brings him. He testifies.
He failed a polygraph. He lies.
It's 2009 now. So we now have what's called touch DNA.
Oh, yeah.
So the defense team says, I want you to swab her body. This poor woman is probably not in the ground yet.
That she has to be.
She doesn't have to be. If the medical examiner doesn't release the body, well, she may have. They have swabs from Kim's
I remember
body.
You said that they swabbed her whole body when they were looking for evidence of sexual
but now
assault.
that we've got this touch DNA, we can run it.
We can run that again.
Okay. There was touch DNA belonging to Charles on Kim's arms, on her underwear, and on the stomach of the shirt that she was wearing when she was murdered. They found Charles's DNA under Kim's fingernails.
Oh, my. Wait. They never checked that before?
Evidently, that's part of the touch DNA system. I don't know, but no, it wasn't in any of the other trials. They have now found that there was Charles's DNA under Kim's fingernails. It's almost like the prosecutor, when they processed the crime scene, never sent anything off.
It feels like they said, we've got our man, we don't want to know any more information. Exactly. Because why wouldn't you process that to see if it's his DNA under her fingernails?
Defense experts determined that when David reached into the vehicle to touch Brad, that his shirt came into contact with Jill's hair.
Of course.
And that hair is what left the bloodstain on his shirt.
Yeah.
The 11 basketball players come back to testify.
God bless every one of them. Well, they're probably subpoenaed, so they don't have a choice.
David never left the game. It turns out that Charles lived only 2 blocks from the Camm's house. So it does make sense that he could have been in the area. It's not like he lived on the other side of town. He lived in just a couple of blocks away.
He could have just been walking by and saw her putting her kids in.
Right.
And saw her feet.
So August 2013, the third trial starts. The defense presents all of that evidence I just told you about. Charles's story is clearly a lie. The defense team proves it. The defense calls their first blood spatter expert that the prosecutor used in the first trial to the stand. This is the guy that started the whole process.
He sure did.
His last name was Strike.
Well, strike out.
He gets up on that stand and confesses that he lied
What?
He's not an expert.
What?
Never had any training in blood.
Where did the
scatter
prosecution
analysis.
find him? Was it just some Joe
They didn't look
Schmo?
for credentials. He just said, "Yeah, I'm an expert."
No, he said, "Yeah, I'll say what you want me to say on the stand."
He lied to help the prosecutor.
He needs to go to freaking prison for all the years that David was in prison. He needs to be in prison.
It's been 13 years.
He needs to be in prison.
There's a lawsuit against him and the prosecutor and some other people that lied. 13 years. This man lied and knew for 13 years that he lied.
I can't take
never
this.
corrected
This is
his
the most horrible
wrong.
thing. This is the most horrible thing, and it just makes you wonder how many other
13
people
years
are sitting in
13
jail.
years. He spent 13 years in prison for murdering his 5-year-old daughter.
And they
his
said he
7-year-old
molested
son,
her too.
and his wife.
Oh my God.
13 years.
There is not enough money to make this right.
We are still at trial. The jury and the judge in this trial says you can use whatever testimony you need to use. He basically said,
Even if
you
the guy
can
was
pull
lying.
from anywhere, even if it's said to be a lie, if you don't think it's a lie, you go with your gut.
Who
That's
the
what the judge
frig
said.
is this judge at the Supreme Court in the state of Indiana?
I know, but the jury follows the law of what the jury is supposed to do and ignores what the judge tells them to do. And after an hour and a half, they come back not fucking guilty.
Holy.
After 13 years. 13 years.
This poor man.
Not guilty.
This poor man. I'm telling you, there is not enough money.
Frightening.
Not enough money to make this okay.
No.
There's nothing that they can do to make this okay.
No.
Never, ever, ever will he ever be able to get over this.
David has filed a $30 million lawsuit against the state of Indiana.
I think criminal charges should be, that guy perjured himself for his credentials.
Yeah.
And the prosecution should be held liable for this bullshit that they're putting out there.
Oh, yeah.
And $30 million, that's not enough, David.
No.
Not enough. It's not enough. It should be $90 million. It should be $130 million. $13 billion. How's that?
Well, he's won $450,000 so far.
Well, it's not enough for him to move out of this godforsaken country and get that, because America was not good to him.
No.
It wasn't. I hope that he's just going to live in Ireland or somewhere. I don't even know where.
In 2014, David was hired as a case coordinator for a nonprofit called Investigating Innocence. Investigating Innocence provides criminal defense investigations for inmates in the United States.
Thank God, because I cannot. So here's my thing. I think that it behooves the state of Indiana to now go and look at every single case where that prosecution used that asshole as an expert, and any of his cases where there was a conviction, they need to go back and start looking at it.
I agree.
I would be pinpointing everything he ever did. Motherfucker. I swear to God, when I say my prayers tonight, I'm going to ask God to smite him. I'm going to say, God, please smite that horrible prosecutor. Smite.
I will be really honest with you. I did not do any investigation into what the status of that prosecutor or anybody on that team, that fake blood spatter guy. I didn't look into any of that.
No, because I don't want to know if they're just
them,
sitting around fat, dumb, and happy and eating a steak every night for their fucking
I
dinner.
don't want to give them the airtime. I don't want to give it.
No. God, what was that prosecutor's name?
I'll tell you after the show.
Oh my God. You need to let me know so I can specifically say his name when I ask for the smiting.
Yes, I will tell you for sure.
Okay.
And David has remarried.
Bless his little heart.
He's remarried. He's trying to get on with his life. He still works for his uncle. But this case is truly the scariest case I've ever heard about in my life.
That's horrific.
He just came home and found his family murdered and spent 13 years behind bars, wrongfully convicted of their murder because one asshole decided to lie About blood spatter.
I know, but also the prosecution lied about a whole lot of shit.
No
They
joke.
lied about sending the evidence off. They didn't send anything off.
They didn't send anything off. Nope.
Like, that's just such bullshit.
Oh, yeah. It's
Oh
terrible.
my God, I'm so mad.
I know.
I'm so
You're
mad
all
right
revved
now.
up.
I am so upset.
Maybe we should be drinking.
Oh, no, I don't think we should drink. But I definitely think we should pause and let me just take a moment.
All right, we're going to pause, let her calm down.
Because, guys, I'm so upset. Somebody from Indiana needs to get in touch with me. I don't even, no, don't. Yeah, somebody just do something. Somebody do something. God has to smite him. Okay, hold on. All right, guys, we're back.
We're back.
I got some water. My blood pressure, I think, is through the roof right now. I can't get over this. I'm taking some deep woo-saw breaths, but I don't know if it's working. So
if you want to learn information about that murder debacle, on Oxygen, there's a new series called Framed by the Killer.
Yeah.
So that's where I got that story. A lot of the information, though, came off different websites. News, like local Indiana newspaper articles and stuff like that. So, you want more? Google David Camm. You'll be able to find all the information you need, including the prosecutor's name, the blood spatter dude's name.
And then when you say your prayers, you can ask by name for God to smite him.
Exactly.
All right, so we decided, since the pie is out of the oven, that we would go ahead and taste. I made a little taste pie. So we'll go ahead and taste that so that maybe some sugar will calm my ass down. Because I'm so upset about this story, I don't know what to do.
I know, it's scary.
Yeah,
Completely scary.
All right, here we go.
All right. Wow, that is delish.
Damn, girl. I mean, damn me.
Nicely done.
Thank you, sugar.
I believe that
Mr. and
Mr.
Mrs.
Gregg will be happy.
Mm-hmm. All right, so.
I can't really call him Mr. Gregg because that makes him sound a lot older than me, and y'all are not that much older than me. We'll see.
I don't call him Mr. Gregg to his face.
Right.
Like, that's dumb.
Right. All right. Do you have a murder?
I do.
You want to talk about something?
I want to talk about.
Discuss? Would you like to discuss some crime?
Murder me up, girl. Murder me up. Here is the crazy thing. So you and I never talk about the murders. We just say, this is the state. I'm going to stay out of this state.
Yep.
So I'm going to tell you about a girl named Kim.
Okay.
What was your lady's name?
Kim.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That is insane.
So I'm going to talk about Kimberly Jo Medlin. And she was from Monroe, North Carolina, which is about 35 miles southeast of Charlotte, North Carolina. It's in Union County.
Okay.
Kim was a young married woman in her late 20s, and she worked as a waitress in Charlotte at a bar. And when she had moved to Charlotte, she was working at a bar, and she met a guy, and they fell in love.
Aww.
They got married, and they moved to Monroe. Okay. So Monroe is about 35 minutes from Charlotte.
Okay. I've never been to Charlotte. Have you been?
Oh, like when I was in college.
Okay.
So I went home with the girl that I was in school with for her one of her debutante balls.
Oh, gotcha.
So she was so she kept waitressing even though they were in Monroe. So Monroe was a pretty small town back in the 90s. Kim was working hard to save up money to pursue her dream of buying a horse farm.
Oh.
Her husband, Bridger, which I think is a cool name, he believed in her dreams and fully supported her. They talked a lot about the farm that they would share one day. So eventually they purchased a small farm and they added 3 horses and a goat named Oscar. Both were very busy working to make ends meet. Kim started working for the livestock circuit And she also got a new waitressing job at a men's club in Charlotte, North Carolina. She was a cocktail waitress because she could make more money.
She was a cocktail waitress?
Yes, a cocktail waitress at a men's club.
At a hotel bar? That much is true. Come on, you remember that song.
Yes. Yeah, I got it.
Don't you want me? Right?
Yes, that is very true. I mean, it's true. Yes, at a cocktail bar.
Yeah.
That much is true.
Yeah.
Woo, look at us. Okay, so yeah, that's Kim. That song must have been about her.
I think it was.
Okay, so like I said, she's working as a cocktail waitress at a men's club, not at a hotel bar. But originally it was at a hotel bar before she met.
Cocktail bar. We said hotel, but
it was a men's club. Okay, cocktail bar.
Right.
Whatever. So also, Bridger works a lot. He works a lot of late night gigs as a DJ. So he's trying
Wiki.
Yeah, he is. He's a wiki. Okay, so on March 28th, Bridger was working a prom in South Carolina. Kim was working late that night at the men's club in Charlotte. She had a very long and late night. They both did. So they agreed to keep in touch throughout the evening. So as Kim left work around 2:30ish in the morning, she called Bridger to say that she was leaving. And he told her he was almost home and would call him when he got home. And so at about 2:45, Bridger calls Kim to say, hey, I'm home. And she said, hey, will you check on one of the horses had been sick? And she said, will you go check on the horse for me?
Sure.
And he said, sure, where are you now? And she said that she was about 15 to 20 minutes away. And he said, okay, I'll go check on the horse and then I'll wait up for you. So he checks on the horse, goes inside, and dozes off on the couch, which, it's in the wee hours. And he wakes up and notices it's a little bit before 4 a.m. and realized that Kim wasn't home. Mm. She had said she was 15 to 20 minutes away at like 2:45. So she should have been there.
Oh, dear.
So he calls her cell phone. It was actually at exactly 3:59 a.m. He calls her cell phone and a police officer answers her phone.
Oh, no.
The police had found Kim's Jeep pulled over on Old Charlotte Road, which was her route home. And the Jeep was still running. There was a cell phone and a purse on the front seat. And the driver's side window was rolled down.
That's bad news.
Kim was nowhere to be found.
That's even worse news.
So, and also, there was no driver's license. Like there was no driver's license. Right.
That's odd.
Isn't that odd? So,
well, I don't know. I mean, if you ever watched that, what was that?
Live PD.
Live PD.
Nobody ever had their license.
I've always got my license.
Me too.
I don't know what in the world people are doing out there.
I don't either. So Bridger decides he's going to go meet the police at the scene. But first he calls his in-laws,
okay.
Kim's parents. And he's in a panic. He is screaming and crying on the phone. They can hardly understand what the hell's going on. And he says, Kim is missing. They found her car and she's missing. And they're like, oh my God, go. And he said, I got to go meet the police. I'll be in touch. So there's this massive search going on for Kim.
Right.
And this was on a Saturday. Actually, it was started out as a Saturday and it goes into the Sunday, and that happened to be Easter Sunday.
Oh.
So around 6:30 p.m. on Easter Sunday, which was March 30th, Kim's body is discovered in a wooded area at the end of an industrial road.
Oh.
Her remains were partially covered with brush, a pallet, and some roofing shingles.
Oh.
Her bra was pulled up over her breasts. Her sweatshirt was inside out and tied around her arms and wrists behind her back.
Good heavens.
She had abrasions on her knees that indicated that she had fallen on pavement which means that she was most likely running away from something. There were long scratches along the sides of her body, and that indicated that she had been dragged through the brush.
Oh my gosh.
There were markings on her wrists similar to handcuffs, not handcuffs. I don't know what handcuffs are.
I don't either.
But no handcuffs were found at the scene.
Wow.
So, the parents and Bridger are notified about them finding the body. But this really struck me, and I think it's because I'm a parent. Her parents said that when they got the phone call that her body had been found, they locked their doors, they unplugged their phones, they drew the blinds and the shades, and they went back to bed because they were so grief-stricken. They didn't know what to do.
Oh my God.
And they literally just laid there.
Wow.
They were so grief-stricken. And that, to me, it just really gets me in my feels.
Yeah, me too.
So, so it's supposed to say investigators, but I put the instigators.
Uh-oh.
They noted right away that this was not a robbery because all of her cash was still in her purse. So, and as a waitress at a cocktail bar,
you
get a lot of tips, and so you got big money,
That's right.
and it was all there. I mean, for what they saw, there was a bunch of it there.
Right.
Forensic evidence at the scene showed a blood trail from the road to the spot where she was found, solidifying that she had been drugged.
Oh.
Not drugged, dragged. I'm not sure. It's dragged. So the autopsy revealed there had been no sexual assault.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Silver lining?
I don't know.
Yeah.
She's still dead.
There were indications of hard blows to the side of her head with something heavy and rounded.
Wow.
They also noted pinpoint hemorrhages in her eyes and abrasions to her neck, indicating strangulation.
Right.
Her hyoid bone was broken in a manner to suggest that someone had pressed a strong object on the front of her neck when they were behind her and pulled real tight.
I got a vision of like a Jimmy stick. What do they call those things?
A Billy stick?
Whatever.
Billy stick. I don't know who Jimmy, Billy, it's all the same.
Jimmy, but yeah.
Jimmy. Poor Jimmy. He gets blamed for
Sorry,
everything.
Jimmy.
So anyway, so obviously she had been strangled from somebody, on her back. So this was a really brutal death.
Yeah.
And so the question is, who could have done this? So,
yeah.
So at first, of course, they look at Bridger.
Yeah, did she pull over because there was something wrong? Was there somebody what the hell happened? What happened?
And, she literally was 15 to 20 minutes away from her house.
Right.
So.
What happened?
Exactly. So, of course, they look at Bridger first. But the cell tower records put both he and Kim exactly where that he said they were. It pinged and it matched exactly what his story was. So it wasn't him.
He didn't do it.
They cleared him. It was not him.
I'm really glad.
I am so thankful after your story that they cleared him so quickly.
Yeah, me too.
Gee whiz. Bridger, honey, I hope you're counting your lucky stars today. He did mention to detectives. He mentioned to detectives that 2 weeks prior to this event, as Kim drove home in the early morning hours, 2 men in a car tried to run her off the road.
Oh, no.
So there was a police report filed, and they went and looked at the police report.
And that's why it's important to always have a police report.
Yes, so that they can...
Something like that happens.
Yeah, exactly. They can go, oh, yeah, that's true. So they were thinking maybe whoever tried to run her off the road went back for her. So police start trying to track down that lead of whoever it was 2 guys in a car.
Right.
So they're trying to figure out who that could have been. So in the meantime, Kim is buried and 1,500 people show up to honor her. 1,500 people. You talk about you never know the lives that you touch.
Right.
This is a 27-year-old girl.
1,500.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get 15 at my funeral. I mean, we're going to have to get invitations and maybe offer a door prize.
I would like to have 1,500 cupcakes at mine.
Oh, I would too. Me too. Well, maybe that'll draw 1,500 people then.
Well, then you can just tell. We have 1,500 cupcakes.
Exactly.
Well prepared.
Yes. So her parents at that point were still barely functioning, and the mom said that it was just her friends, her family, and her church were literally holding them up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They were feeding them. They were sitting with them, taking care of them. It was crazy. So also, in the meantime, lots of witnesses start coming forward.
Oh.
One man said he left work around between 2:50 and 3 a.m. And as he was turning from the intersection towards Monroe, he had to wait for a vehicle that was headed east from the west, going straight through that intersection.
Oh.
And he said that vehicle was a red Jeep. He remembered seeing the red Jeep.
Okay.
When the red Jeep pulled out, he then pulled out.
Do we know what kind of vehicle it was that ran her off the road?
No.
Okay. Darn it.
But we know that she was in a red Jeep.
Oh, she's in a red Jeep.
She's the red Jeep. Okay. So, he pulled out right after she passed through the intersection, and he was headed in her same direction. And then he noticed a westbound vehicle. Okay. So it's coming from the other direction.
Really bad. I'm like really bad. If I'm sitting on the road, I don't know if I'm going east or west.
Well, she's going east. And so if this is a westbound vehicle, just know it was going in the opposite direction from her. Okay. He noticed that this vehicle stopped in the middle of the road and did a 3-point turn, turned around, and started following the Jeep.
No way.
So he also noticed, this is what he noticed about that car, because then that car gets between him and this red Jeep. And they're not close follow. It's a country road. She's zipping along.
Right.
You know, he's, so it's not like they're all right next to each other or like right behind each other.
Right.
There's space, but he did notice this car, and then the car pulls off, and then he can see that car in the distance. So this is what he noticed about that car. He said he noticed that the car had blue reflective tape on the rear, and it had a whip antenna. You know what that is? Like the big long antennas.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They whip around. I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah.
But it had a whip antenna on the trunk. He also noticed some kind of lights on the roof of this car. And he could make out the letter P on the trunk, but he couldn't be sure that the letter P was part of the word police.
Oh.
He couldn't be sure that was a police car. But he did see some blue bubble lights.
Oh, dear.
And they actually activated on the roof, and so he was like, oh, I guess they're pulling the red Jeep. And about that time, he turns off to go to his house.
What year was this? Can you remind me?
Yep, it was in, I want to say it was in the 90s.
Okay.
Like 97, 98.
All right. That makes sense. Because back then, you know, that may have been on a police car.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying it was a police car. I'm just saying.
It could have been, but it could also be a CV person with a big whip antenna.
Right, or somebody was impersonating a
Well,
cop.
and they did think that they had what they called a blue light bandit.
Oh.
They did have a couple of those that had been, one had been arrested and was in jail at the time, but there was another one still at large that had pulled over women impersonating police.
God, that is so scary.
I know. And this is an old highway.
Yeah.
You know, it's not well traveled. It's kind of a country road.
Oh my gosh.
So he turns off and heads home. So he never thought anything else.
Because he thinks that the police
He's like, whatever. Police are pulling somebody out. I got to go because I'm very tired because it's 3 a.m.
Right.
So there was another witness that came forward, and this witness lived diagonally across from where the Jeep was found.
Okay.
And he said he was awakened by blue lights flashing in his window around 3 a.m.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, then a police officer must have pulled her.
Yeah.
Pulled this red Jeep over. Another witness said he was driving his girlfriend home around 3:10, 3:15 on Old Charlotte Road, which is the road that we're talking about. He observed a red Jeep Wrangler parked off the side of the road. He remembers the lights were on but saw nobody in or around the Jeep.
Right.
But you know what? It's 3 a.m. I ain't stopping.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they could be puking in the bushes because they're drunk.
Or
You don't
just
know.
broke down.
Right.
Or they're walking somewhere. You
right.
don't know.
You don't know. So, and then he said, so he was driving his girlfriend around at home. So he said,
it could have been Michael Myers, for God's sakes.
Could be a trap.
You don't just pull over.
You don't. So then on his way back home, 20 to 25 minutes later, because now he dropped his girlfriend off, 20 to 25 minutes later, he goes back, and the Jeep is still there, still the lights on, still nowhere, no one around. But he said, I kept going.
Yeah, I'm playing.
So he went home. So Captain Simpson of the Monroe Public Safety Department found Kim's Jeep around 3:45 a.m.
The Public Safety Department, okay.
Well, he's a police officer. That's what they called it.
You're right.
In Monroe. I don't know why. So he actually is the one that found Kim's Jeep around 3:45. He was on duty.
Okay.
Her car was pointed east, off the road, running, lights on, no sign of a struggle. The purse and the cell phone were on the seat, and her billfold was laying open.
Oh.
And there was cash in it. There was a checkbook in it.
Right,
there
but
was
not the license.
Right. There were credit cards in it, and there was no driver's license.
This is not looking good.
Not looking good, and it's kind of creepy. So, and that's when her cell phone rang, and he answered it, and it was her husband, Bridger.
This is why we're no longer going to be driving at night.
Ever. No, we're not
alone.
We're not night doing anything.
No.
We're not night doing.
No.
No more night doing, guys.
Ride the elevator.
Yeah, that's it. And that's with my roadie.
Exactly.
So the investigators, also at the autopsy, they found on the back of her sweatshirt up near her neck was a partial shoe print.
Oh, God.
Where somebody had stood on her back and pulled that hard weapon or hard whatever it was against her throat and broke her neck and strangled her to death.
For heaven's sake.
Yeah. And so they start to focus on that shoe print.
I would too.
So the heel part of it was very defined, very well defined. And I know because I have a husband who teaches forensics. There is actually a database, a national database of shoe prints.
Nice.
Of shoe prints, soles,
when that was created.
patterns, manufacturers, everything.
Just like the tattoo. The
Yes.
tattoo database.
Yes, it's crazy. So they start looking at this shoe print, and they decipher that it is a men's size 8 Clarino shoe.
Okay.
It's a size 8.5. Sorry.
That's a little foot.
It's a little, I'm just saying that's a little foot. So those shoes were the shoes issued to the Monroe Police Department.
Damnation. Oh.
Records from the shoe store that carried the shoe indicate that the only police officer on the force that wore that size was an officer named Josh Griffin, and he had been issued shoes like that.
Damn it, Josh.
So they go and talk to Officer Griffin, and they said, "Where are your shoes?" And he said, "Well,"
I gave him the Goodwill.
He didn't. He said, "I had to dispose of them a couple of weeks ago because I had worked an accident scene where battery acid had leaked onto the road, and I stepped in the battery acid, and so I had to get rid of the shoes. And so I just threw them out."
Of course you did.
But another officer that worked that same scene, he corroborated. Whew, that's a hard one tonight. That's a hard one.
I have a hard time with that one.
Yeah, I say that better when there's bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he agreed that there had been battery acid at the scene of that accident, and they both worked it. But he said he asked Josh Griffin at the scene if he had stepped in any of the battery acid, and Josh said no. And then he asked Josh the next day when he was filling out the report, "Do you need for me to get you new shoes?" And Josh said, "No, I don't need new shoes. I'm good. There's nothing wrong with them."
Oh, Josh.
So now Josh has not been honest. So
Josh, you liar.
I'm just saying ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh.
And I'm also saying, Josh, you have a men's 8.5 size foot. I just think that indicates to me you got some shortcomings.
Yeah.
Probably up in your britches. Just saying. It's just a guess. It is a non-professional opinion. I am on no authority to make this assessment, but from if things that are said are true, you got some shortcomings up in your britches area. No. So now they start looking at Josh, really looking at Josh. And Josh and his dad were both police officers on the Monroe force. On March 25th, on March 28th, because I don't know what happened March 25th, but this happened on March 28th. I don't know what was going on March 25th. I don't even pretend to want to know. But Josh had worked mall security off duty from the police department that night. Oh. After his mall job ended, right, mall cop, right. So after that, he dropped by the police department dispatch office and took everybody ice cream. Because, you want to be friends with the dispatch. Those are your lifeline. Of course. So, and, I mean, he's working at the mall. He's a mall cop. And every mall cop probably gets some ice cream. And he took it to the dispatch office. Okay. So he sat around and shot the stuff with these people. Shot the ice cream with these people. And then he set off saying, well, here I go. I'm going to go out to harass some people. Oh, Lord. Yeah, that's the last thing he said as he was leaving. This guy's a real dickweed. A dip stick. So, also, after Kim and Bridger had filed that report about the weird encounter a couple weeks before, Josh's dad had actually spoken to Kim and asked what her usual route was to and from work. Oh, no. He told her, I'll keep an eye out for you whenever I'm on duty in that area, because he wanted her to be safe. Oh, no. And he said, and you know what? I'll let my son Josh know, too. Oh, for God's sake. To be on the lookout for you. Oh. So, upon interrogation of Officer Josh Griffin, he said he did his off-duty patrolling. By the way, that is against policy to do off-duty patrolling. You don't just get to go patrol whenever the flipping hell you feel like it. No. So he says, I got home at 2:48 a.m. Okay. So there's some conflicting testimony about what time he really got home, but his brother/roommate said, oh yeah, he got home at 2:48 a.m. Oh. Yeah, because I was looking at the clock when he was walking in. It was 2:48. It was probably somewhere around 2:45, 3 o'clock. No, it was 2:48 a.m. Okay. Yeah, okay, brother roommate. So, but he said the strange thing is that when he got home at that hour, he stayed out in the driveway and was vacuuming his car. Like, who vacuums their car at 3 a.m.? I'm just saying I don't vacuum my car ever. There is no time that I vacuum. Yeah, only if there's been I don't know, something catastrophic spilled. No, not even then. There might be a wipe up, but there's not a vacuuming. I leave that to others. That's for a professional. So he's out there at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever time in the morning, vacuuming his car. So other officers stated that Josh had more than once mentioned some hot blonde in a red Jeep that he wanted to get with. Lord have mercy. He had talked over the police radio to his police buddies saying he was going to get her plate number and run it. What a dumbass. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he could pull her over. Oh my God. And he had a reputation around town, turns out, for doing exactly that to pretty girls. He would see a pretty girl, get her plate number, run it, and then randomly run into them at places, and then he knew everything there was to know about them. Creepy. How freaking, you know why he's creepy? Because he's a little man. Well, I don't know how tall he was, but I can tell you there's something little about him. Yeah. There is something so small. Yeah. So, anyway, so 2 women actually came forward to say he had pulled them over when they had done nothing wrong, and it seemed like there was no official business. He just wanted to flirt. So, creepy. I'm telling you. So on April 4th, Josh is suspended pending further investigation. 2 days later, Josh asked a buddy police officer, a friend of his on the force, to meet him at the bowling alley.
Oh, come on, let's go bowl.
Let's go talk at the bowling alley. So he told his buddy this story. He said, I saw that red Jeep that night when I was off duty patrolling.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and I observed her swerving and reckless driving. So I pulled her over. She had no driver's license on her. She was mad. Turns out she had not been drinking. But she was really, really mad and just lost her shit. And so he said, I told her to calm down before she left. And I just left and told her to go home, but to please sit there and calm down first. So, yeah. He also mentioned he was a little nervous because earlier that same day, he happened to be out on that industrial road and had pulled over to urinate.
Oh, so they might
in the brush.
Tiny penis pee-pee.
Yeah, it was probably like little droplets. So, and he thought he might have left the cover to one of his tools out there.
Oh, no, not,
so he was
not
kind
the
of
tool cover.
He was kind of nervous, but this is just him talking between two friends.
Just my buddy.
That buddy hightailed it right back to the police chief.
Good, yeah, because I'm sure he's
probably like,
dude, you're just as creepy as you've always been.
Yeah, exactly, you little penis boy. Sorry, but Josh has a little penis.
Tiny tot. Tiny tot.
Yes. So he's like the little tidy bowl man.
Tiny.
Teeny, tiny. He got a little weenie. So also, Josh was known for having an especially messy car. He had been dinged by his supervisor plenty of times because his car was always a mess. And when they seized that car, it was spotless.
Oh, Lord.
Like, so if they were to seize my car and it was spotless, you'd be like, oh, crap.
You get to be a cop.
You know what? It's Mayberry. I don't know. I think his dad was a cop and well respected. And they were like, oh, well, the apple can't have fallen far from the tree. Come on over.
So they probably let him pass on a lot of stuff just because his dad.
Evidently, people were just looking the other way.
Oh, my goodness.
So they get the car. It's spotless. So, and they have so many witnesses coming forward at this point. I cannot go through all of the witness statements. I was reading a court document and it just went on and on. I'm just saying it was a boatload of witnesses that we're just going to say a whole lot of witnesses came forward to talk shit about Josh.
Oh, God.
So Josh is finally arrested. And in April of 1998, there was a trial where he is immediately convicted of first-degree kidnapping and first-degree murder of Kimberly Jo Medlin.
Good heavens.
The jury was split on the decision of life or death. They finally agreed to life with no parole because, according to a jury member, she said, that sick and twisted man needs to be in jail because he needs to hear her screams every night for the rest of his life.
But will he?
I don't know. I know one thing. He got a little penis. I don't know what happens in prison when you got one of those. But he got little shoes, little hands. He's a little tiny guy. I don't even know if he's tall or short. It doesn't matter. But he got 8.5. Men's 8.5.
He's not tall with an 8.5.
I'm just going to say, I think my son was in the 6th grade and wore a men's 8.5 shoe. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying what's in his crotch isn't swinging. It's just like sitting there. That's all. So, sorry, Mama. So, and children.
Anybody who could be well hung with an 8.5.
If you are that person, please send us pictures.
No.
Not pictures.
What's the matter with you?
Not pictures of that.
Have
Pictures
you
of
lost your mind?
I'm going to delete that. I'm going to edit that part. Jesus Christ. What's in this water? Okay, you're on my nerves. I'm just saying this is out of control.
You're out of control.
Just listen. Prosecutors surmise, because I love that word.
No shit.
that he actually went out that night looking for her specifically.
Of course he did.
He saw her red Jeep, he pulled her over, and he got her out of the vehicle and made a pass.
Ugh.
She probably fought him because she ain't going to put up with that crap. She owns horses. She ain't going to put up with that stuff.
No, when she worked at a men's club, she knows how to handle it.
Yeah. So they think that when she fought him, he cuffed her and threw her in the back of his patrol car.
Right.
And then drove her down to the industrial road with the intention of raping and killing her.
Well, he couldn't rape her because he's too tiny.
Well, he never did get there, did he? Because he couldn't get close enough because he got a little teeny tiny wee-wee.
Teeny tiny.
So they think that at that point she got out of the patrol car and ran, which is why she had the scrape. She probably fell on the pavement and kept running. And then he finally caught up with her, bashed her on the side of her head with his big police flashlight.
Oh.
That's what they think it was a flashlight.
Dagnabbit.
And then stood on her back with that flashlight pressed against the front of her neck and strangled her and broke her neck.
Gosh.
Then he dragged her through the brush and hid her body under trash and brush. And he denied.
Okay.
Okay. So he gets life, no parole, right?
Right.
1991. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 1989 is when they did the trial.
Got it. 1991, he finally admits that he killed her. But he told the most cockamamie bullshit story about what happened. This is what he said. There were drug dealers that wanted her.
Oh.
Because she owed them for drugs.
Of course.
And that they captured him and made him capture her and then held him at gunpoint and made him kill her. Are you, like, not only does he have a little penis, but he has a little brain.
Teeny tiny brain.
So, that's the story.
Tic-tac size balls. Tiny.
Where are your balls?
Tiny.
Are they in your sock?
My
Are they in your ear? I don't know where they are.
These killers are on my nerves.
They're on my nerves. Yeah, so that is the horrible story of a horrible injustice done to this sweet girl that owned horses, which touches my heart anyway.
I mean, don't go out at night anymore, people.
No, and if your name is Kim, don't tell anybody your name is Kim. No, and don't do night stuff. There's no more night stuff.
Don't do it.
I mean, hello with these prosecutors and these police officers that are dirty.
Dirty people.
And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that prosecutor probably had a little penis too. I'm just going to say it. Putting it out there.
I don't know.
I don't either. So anyway, guys, this has been
exhausting.
I'm exhausted.
Exhausting.
But thank God there was pie.
Yeah, and we have social media.
Oh my God, we really do. We still have. I'm eating the rest of this, by the way.
I figured that you would. I saved it to allow you to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Social media. Send us an email. We'll send you a recipe. We'll tell your story. If you've got a story you want to tell about murder, do not send us dirty pictures.
We will not.
Do not send us any kind of a picture of any tiny part.
And I don't want pictures of feet either, guys. I don't like feet, so don't give me feet.
No, just don't send us pictures.
I didn't mean pictures. I meant...
we'll research a murder for you. Or
send us an email if you are well hung with a tiny foot.
Stop it.
I just want to know if anybody...
Do not send us emails if you're well hung with tiny feet.
I don't want a picture.
I
don't want a picture. I just want somebody to say it can happen.
It can happen. Talk to a doctor. You don't need to have people send you an email about
I'm going to call my doctor tomorrow.
They might lie. You don't know. Oh my God. Google that stuff.
I'm going to ask my doctor next time.
You should.
Have you ever treated somebody that was well hung with tiny feet?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask.
I think.
And I have several doctors that I see on a regular basis. I'll be asking everybody.
Okay. Well, you go ahead and obsess about that. I'm going to move on from it.
Okay.
Send us an email and ask us to research a murder. Ask us for a recipe. Ask us any kind of thing.
Our address is murder.sugarcoated@gmail.com. Yes. And we have Instagram.
We do.
We're at Sugarcoated Murder on Instagram.
Yeah.
We're TikTok. We're on TikTok, and I think we're called Sugar Coated Murder Pod, or we could be called Sugar Motor. No,
oh
Sugar Murder. It's hard to say
Sugar
that.
Murder.
Yeah. We're on Twitter. I don't know. I have no idea what our Twitter handle is, but I mean, we are under Sugar Coated Murder. If you're on Twitter, if you're on,
be able to find us.
Sugar Coated Murder Podcast.
If you can't, send us an email,
and then we'll help you figure it out. We'll send you the links
we
because I
have
can
a
send links.
marvelous Facebook fan page.
Oh my gosh, it's growing and growing.
Sugar Coated Murder Podcast fan page.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And we have a regular Facebook page, and that's
Sugar Coated Murder.
Yeah, it's actually called SCM Podcast. I do know that because I had to copy that into paperwork.
That's so weird.
It is. And then also, this him drinking water. And so also we have.
And so also, she said that a couple times today. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know. It could be sugar because I'm having sugar and I haven't had sugar in a while.
Oh yeah, when we post our podcast online, we usually
have a link tree.
Throw our link tree in, and that's got all of our links in it. Have you added the TikTok link?
Not yet.
Everything but the TikTok.
Well, it didn't have any of the social media links in it, so now I'm going to add all the social media links. But it's got all the places where you can find us. It's got places where you can buy incredibly cool ass merchandise.
Yeah.
And you can send us, you can treat us to a spot of tea or a cup of joe.
A cup of joe, a spot of tea.
Or a pizza.
Some spot of dick.
I don't have a spot of dick.
Spotted.
A spot of dick. Oh my God. I don't want that.
It comes in a can. It's like bread pudding. You'll love it. Delish.
I've heard about spotted dick.
What else could you do? I mean, just send us money.
Oh, yeah, that would be really nice. Or you could just send us email and tell us that you want to be our friend.
You could do that.
Because we love friends.
Yeah.
And be on the fan page because that's all of our friends right there.
That's all of our friends. And that's where we post the podcast first.
Yes.
If we have any important news to share, that's where it goes. So,
that's right. Sound checks sometimes.
Friends.
Sound checks get posted there. They don't get posted anywhere else.
Exactly.
Sometimes some really cool memes get put there.
Yeah.
And, nowhere else because y'all are the most special.
Another thing. If you got a funny meme, you can always send us a message on Facebook.
Yes, the one that I posted today was sent to us by a friend.
Yes, it was. Our friend Marty.
Yeah.
She's Marvy.
Marty, you're Marvy. Okay, well, wish us luck. We're going to be traveling to our friend's house this weekend and staying with them. Hopefully, fingers crossed that they like the pie, but we will definitely let you know, and I'll take a picture of it when I serve it.
Yes, and we hope that you will stay sweet.
And don't murder.
Because if you kill people,
we will talk about you.
Ha. Have a good week.
Love y'all. Bye. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
You know when you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.